And that's our question to our guest editor tonight, Swapan Dasgupta. How did the PM do today?
Well, you can't really look at the Prime Minister's speech in complete isolation. The Congress started this session, this AICC session, completely on the back foot. They tried two things. They went on aggressive mode. The first thing, when the entire question of looking at the Hindu terror question, which Digvijay Singh compared the BJP with the Nazis. And then you have the second question of corruption. Now, the greatest asset of the Congress is the Prime Minister's own credibility. And today they decided to stake the entire credibility of the Prime Minister on getting rid of the charges of corruption and saying, I will appear. Now, various questions appeared. It's something which will go down very well for the moment, but various questions will appear. Why did he leave it so late? Why, for example, is he so insistent that it can only be the PAC? Mr. Jaitley is partially right. It is, after all, something which is only going to be a narrow focus on the CAG, auditor's report. So the larger political questions are being left out. Thirdly, you've got to also see it in terms of the larger question of Sonia's thing hit back at the BJP. So I would locate the Prime Minister's statement in the context of this larger war of positioning which is going on between the Congress and the BJP. And the Prime Minister in this battle has offered what he thinks is his greatest asset, which is his personal credibility.
But, does his offer of appearing before the PAC to some extent damage or blunt the opposition's attack? Because what have they wanted? They wanted him to answer questions before a parliamentary committee. So the PAC is headed by Murli Manohar Joshi. Does this to some extent blunt the BJP's attack?
In the public perception, it certainly does. But in terms of the parliamentarians, it probably doesn't. Because, as I earlier said, the larger questions, the policy parameters, the questions of governance, the question of cabinet accountability, the role of the Prime Minister's office, these are completely outside the purview of the PAC. Because the CAG doesn't deal with such questions. So there are going to be questions which I think really the point of embarrassment, potential future embarrassment, or whether the Prime Minister is going to take the advantage from this thing, will depend on if there are revelations which come out following the interrogation of Mr. Raja, following whatever Mr. Shourie may have to say, following what Meera Radia may have to say.
But there are important things that are going to happen between now and the next Parliament session. One is what the PM has done today, offering himself to the PAC. The big possibility that Raja will probably be arrested in the next few weeks, and therefore can the opposition afford to stall Parliament? And then before the next session begins, you may also have a final report submitted to the Supreme Court, which is already monitoring the probe.
Ironically, the arrest of Raja, the CBI raids,
you think
the possible arrest of Mr. Raja. I mean, he's not been arrested so far.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. That only would serve to further bolster the opposition in saying that, look, there was something gravely wrong.
But can they afford to stall Parliament?
They cannot afford to stall the budget session. They cannot afford to stall the budget process. But I think the opposition is not looking so much at present on the JPC as such, but they are trying to corner the Congress politically. This has now become a completely political battle. The Congress conceded one part of the argument today by acknowledging that corruption is a major issue, which wasn't acknowledged in the earlier AICC in October. They were criticized very seriously. Secondly, they conceded the point that the Prime Minister needs to answer a few questions. I think these are two major concessions. But if they were to concede the JPC at this point, then I think that would be a total loss of face. While the Congress sees itself getting the upper hand, the opposition too feels it's also smelt blood. The Congress is also in the retreat. So let's see how this plays out.